My name is Ingrid Honkala, and at the time of my near-death experience, I was living in Bogotá, Colombia, where I grew up with my parents and my sisters. I was only 2 years old, near to 3 years old, when the accident happened.
My name is Ingrid Honkala. I was just under 3 years old when my life changed forever. I was born and raised in Bogotá, Colombia, a bustling city nestled high in the Andes Mountains. Back then, both of my parents worked long hours, so they left my sisters and me in the care of a young maid. She was inattentive and easily distracted, often retreating to her room to listen to soap operas while we played unsupervised. One day, shortly after my parents left, my older sister and I wandered into the back patio of the house. I vividly remember 2 colorful balls lying on the ground. We grabbed one and began a simple game of catch. In the corner of the patio stood a large, cement water tank used for washing clothes by hand. My sister climbed to a flat platform beside the tank, and I, just a toddler, balanced precariously on the opposite side. To us, it was just a game. Danger didn't exist in our world, not yet. As my sister tossed the ball toward me, her tiny hands didn't give it enough force. It fell into the tank. I saw it floating, just within reach. Without hesitation, I leaned in to grab it, and lost my balance. The moment I hit the icy water, everything changed. I was instantly overwhelmed by the freezing cold. Bogotá's high elevation meant the water was near freezing. My lungs tightened. I couldn't breathe. My chest imploded with pressure. I heard my sister's panicked screams above the surface, but they faded as I sank deeper. My heartbeat pounded loudly in my head. And then, silence. Peace in the depths and the light beyond. As terrifying as the cold and darkness were, something miraculous happened. All at once, the panic disappeared. I felt a deep, indescribable peace, a silence behind all other silences. The water no longer frightened me. It held me, gently and calmly. Then, from beneath me, a radiant light began to rise. This light illuminated the murky water around me, revealing beautiful suspended bubbles, each glowing softly. I watched them in awe, mesmerized. In chasing their gentle movement, I turned, and saw a small body floating in the water. My body. In that moment, I knew with absolute certainty that I had died. Yet I felt no fear, no sadness. Only a sense of release. I had always been a sickly child, plagued with respiratory illnesses and weakness. But now, I felt weightless. Free. Whole. Why would I want to go back to that frail, hurting body? Then, in a blink, I was no longer in the water. I found myself in the maid's room, looking down from above as she lay on the bed, listening to her radio. I even remembered the soap opera playing. That's Maria, I thought, completely calm. Another blink, and I was floating above my mother. She was walking to work when I appeared in her path. That's Mommy, I thought, still in this strange state of awareness. Suddenly, she stopped, her instincts kicking in. She sensed something was wrong. One of my babies, she thought. She turned and began to run home. And I, still free, realized something profound. Wherever I put my focus, I could instantly be there. The realm of light and the return home. Time and space had no grip on me. If I thought of a place, I was there. I was everywhere and nowhere. And then, without transition, I entered a new realm, one made entirely of light. It was the purest, most brilliant light I had ever seen. And more than that, it felt like home. Not a place I recognized physically, but a feeling deep in my soul. After just 3 years on Earth, I had found where I truly belonged. In that place, all sense of self dissolved. I became one with everything. I lost all awareness of being Ingrid. There was no sound, no thought, no color, no movement, just pure being. I wasn't observing, I was. It was the ultimate state of oneness, of becoming existence itself. Back on Earth, my mother had reached the house. Her maternal instincts had guided her straight to the patio. She found my sister panicked and crying near the water tank. My mother saw my limp body in the water and instantly jumped in. She pulled me out. I was pale, lifeless, blue. My limbs hung limp like a rag doll. But my mother was trained in CPR through her work with children. She began resuscitating me, doing what she could to bring me back. At that exact moment, I felt something shift. A violent pull, like falling from the tallest building in the world. I was being sucked back, a force dragging me down. And just like that, I was slammed back into my body. The cold, the pain, the heaviness all returned. I was back, but I didn't want to be. The pain of coming back. Returning to my body was more traumatic than dying. I was no longer in the peaceful state of light. I was cold. Sick. Trapped. I cried out to my mother, "You don't understand. This is not me. This is not my name. I'm not supposed to be here." I had changed. I no longer felt like a toddler. I remembered everything from the light. I saw myself as more than a child, something beyond age or identity. I looked at my parents not as caretakers, but as equals. Strangely, I also returned with abilities I hadn't possessed before. I could suddenly read and write. I solved math problems with ease and assembled complex puzzles far beyond my age level. My mother was stunned. I was only 3, but I was functioning like an advanced adult. Socially, I was isolated. Other children didn't relate to me, and I didn't relate to them. They were still innocent and unaware. I had seen too much. At the time, Colombia didn't have any language or understanding for what I had experienced. The term near-death experience wasn't part of our culture. My parents hoped I'd grow out of it. But I didn't. In fact, when things became hardest, when I felt most alone, I was taken back to the light in my dreams. I later realized these were out-of-body experiences. At the time, I didn't care what they were called. I just craved the comfort they brought. Then, one night, everything changed again. The beings of light. In one of my nighttime journeys, I was surrounded by luminous figures, beings of light. Each radiated a unique color, like the stars. I was overwhelmed with peace and familiarity. One of them touched me gently, and I instinctively said, "You're a being of light." Being in their presence felt like home. Their love required no words. I felt complete healing. Soon, I began eating again, smiling, engaging with others. The beings of light didn't have to speak to comfort me. Their love was enough. Their first teaching was simple yet profound: everything is going to be okay. At times, I didn't believe it. Life often didn't seem okay. But that message kept me grounded. The beings explained that everything had a purpose, even pain. That our lives unfold with precision, though we often don't see the bigger picture. They taught me that home is not a place. It's a state of being. Heaven wasn't far away, it was here and now. One evening, our new maid called me for dinner. I ignored her. She approached and said, "Ingrid, I'm calling you." I replied, "That is not my name." Confused, she asked what she should call me. I simply said, "I don't need a name." That night, the beings of light spoke with sound for the first time. "It will take time for them to understand," they said gently. "In their realm, there are no names, no genders. Just oneness. Keeping quiet in a world that wouldn't understand." The beings told me I had to stay quiet, people wouldn't understand. I didn't believe them at first. How could anyone not understand something so real? But I quickly saw the truth. I was born into a deeply Catholic country. 98% of Colombia at the time rejected anything outside of strict religious dogma. I spoke to a priest once about the beings of light. His reply? "That is the devil speaking to you." I was devastated. So I stopped sharing. I hid my abilities. I no longer spoke of the light or my experiences. At school, I was a target. I knew too much, answered too fast, saw too deeply. Teachers dismissed me. Students bullied me. My older sister became my protector, shielding me from harm when she could. But I kept drawing what I saw: auras, lights, stars. One day, my teacher questioned my drawings. I told her, "These are my friends, the beings of light." My mother was present. I looked at her, pleading for understanding. On the way home, she turned to me on the bus and said, "I believe you." Then, she revealed her own truth: she had seen spirits since she was 5. Like me, she had been forced into silence. Finally, someone believed me. Later, I asked the beings, "What can I say to people who don't believe?" Their reply was beautiful: "Say nothing. The light of your awareness is all they need." Wanting to be normal. As I got older, I felt increasingly alienated. In college, surrounded by friends, hormones, and social life, I just didn't fit in. I didn't feel what others felt. I didn't care about relationships, appearances, or fitting in. Eventually, I broke down. "I want to be normal," I told the beings. "I don't want this anymore. I don't want to be different." They didn't resist. With compassion, they simply stepped back. "Okay," they said. "You won't see or hear us for a while. When you're ready, we'll return." And just like that, they were gone. I drifted. My spiritual connection faded. I needed grounding. I chose a career in marine science, a field rooted in logic, measurement, and structure. It was my anchor. I became the chief of the Marine Biology and Ecology Department in Colombia. But life didn't get easier. I was sent to a war zone, where I witnessed horrific violence. Bombings. Poverty. Death. Rebels roamed freely. Even leaving the military base was dangerous. A coworker who dared to venture out was killed. I lived in fear every day. My American husband, whom I'd recently married, begged me to leave Colombia and come to the US reluctantly. I did. But just days after our wedding, he was deployed. I was left alone in a foreign country, raising a sick baby with no support system. I was diagnosed with PTSD. I had reached my lowest point. The light returns and the mission begins. One night, lying next to my baby, the darkness consumed me. I loved him deeply, but I was lost. For a horrifying moment, I thought, what if I take him with me? The thought shocked me awake. I wept. I need light, I prayed. Please, I need you. For the first time in years, I prayed with my whole heart. I had stopped praying long ago, thinking I wasn't worthy of the light anymore. But as soon as I asked, the answers came. I realized no one had been judging me except myself. The light had never left. I had only closed my eyes to it. Life gives us only two paths, suffering or surrender to the light. Suffering leads nowhere, like a car stuck in neutral. But surrender opens the way. Eventually, I began to remember who I truly was. I learned that even the worst pain can serve a higher purpose. It's what shakes us awake. Through every hardship, illness, loss, war, isolation, I was being led back to the light. And now, I share this message with others. As the beings once told me, you will pass these teachings to others. I never wanted to, but now I do. Because I understand. I am here not just to live, but to be the light. And so are you.